What up, what up, what up, what up? Is your boy the Stock Sniper? We back, man, with another live stream. We got a lot going on today. Donald Trump signed an executive order. And then after this, we're gonna watch some more Charlie Kirk.
Well, thank you very much.
Conversations with the.
As you know, we passed the continuing resolution in the Republican House today. It was an amazing vote.
The colleges that he will be at for this one will be the University of Tennessee. Shout out to the volunteers.
Actually, it showed we want to keep things going and going properly. It was good for a lot of reasons. The Republicans want to keep government open. But in the Senate, we have 53 Republicans total, and we need 60 votes. That means we need Democrat votes. I want to thank Senator John Fetterman. He wants to keep the country open. We're doing so well as a country. We're doing probably better than ever before. If you look at the stock market and other indicators, we have tremendous investment coming in, record investment coming. Everything's going well, but the Democrats are unhappy about that because they don't want it to go well. I think they actually dislike our country greatly. So they want to shut down the country. They want to have open borders. They want to stop the fighting of crime, where we've been very successful. The D.C., as you know, Washington, D.C. is it's a hot place right now. Everyone's having dinners. They're going out all over. There's very little crime. They haven't seen numbers like this in many, many years. And other places, as you know, we're going into Memphis. We'll soon be going into Chicago. We've already had people out there and in there, and FBI's been there. We've brought the numbers down, but we're going to be bringing them down a whole lot. But I guess they want crime and we fight crime, and it's a pretty big difference. They want to have men playing women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. And if they don't get everything that they want, all these things that they want that are proven so badly, they want to close our government down. We're not going to let bad things happen to our country. We're not going to approve things that we shouldn't be approving. Just today, the House Democrats voted against condemning the political assassination of Charlie Kirk. Who could vote against that? Condemning, all they're saying, please condemn the assassination of a human being. And they said, no, then we're not going to do that. Remember this, we had an election a very short time ago. Republicans won presidential. We won the popular vote by a lot. We won all 7 swing states. We won the Electoral College by a lot. We won most U.S. counties in a total landslide. So we won most. It's a very big.
When Trump gonna stop talking about the election? Every time he come on, he always talking about, we won the election on a landslide. When he gonna stop talking about the election, guys? That's the only thing I want to know.
Big statistic. We won the counties in a number that I don't believe has been hit before. 2,600 counties versus 525 counties for the Democrats. So the Democrats really should start respecting what takes place at the voter booth. In many cases, it's not a voter booth because they have mail-in voting, which is a very corrupt situation. But despite that, we won in a landslide. And we have to remember, when you win the election, elections have consequences. So we'll continue to.
When is Donald Trump going to stop talking about the election, guys? When is he going to stop talking about that? You won the election. Talk about what's next.
Of Social Security, we'll take care of the things that we have to take care of. A lot of the things that Democrats fight for, which in many cases aren't very good things, will not be able to be paid. So we'll watch and see how they do with that. They'll have to handle their constituents pretty carefully. So we're proud to announce that we won the House. We did fine in the Senate, but we need 60 votes. So we have 53 senators, and we need 60 votes. That means the Democrats have to vote in the Senate. And I don't think they will be voting. Now, what we are doing, we're really here today to talk about something else, which is the gold card, which is going to bring a lot of money into our country, which is going to reduce taxes and lots of other good things. But we'll save that for a little bit later. Why don't we do this first, and then we'll talk about the gold card, okay? Any questions, Jeff?
Your call with President Xi, sir. President Xi, your call this morning with President Xi.
It was great. I had a great call with President Xi, and as you know, he approved the Tik Tok deal, and we're in the process. We have some great investors, some of the biggest in the world, American investors, great people, and we look forward to getting that deal closed.
Is it fully approved? The Chinese statements didn't necessarily
Well,
indicate that.
I think so. I mean, when you say fully approved, I don't know what that means. We have to get it signed. I guess there could be a formality. I found his word to be very good. President Xi and I had a long talk. We talked for almost 2 hours, and it started at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I think it was a very good talk. We talked about trade. We talked about war. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about Russia, Ukraine, obviously, and Gaza. Talked about a lot of subjects. It was a long call. It was a good call. We have a very good relationship. But the Tik Tok deal is well on its way, as you know, and the investors are getting ready. And I think China wanted to see it stay open, too. They wanted to see it. And I can tell you the young people in our country wanted to see it stay open very badly because, and if you take a look at my numbers, no Republican has ever done anything like we did. We got massive numbers of youth vote. And by the way, helped very much by Charlie Kirk. So Charlie was very much in favor of Tik Tok. He liked Tik Tok. And he said, you know, you should use it. And other people said that too, and I used it, and I don't know if I have I think I set records. I looked at numbers that are phenomenal. We'll pass them out to you. And it had probably a pretty big effect on the election because we won the election by a lot. So we are in a situation where in a little while, meaning a number of days, we'll probably, I don't know if you can make a deal with these people. I think these people are crazy. You know, again, anybody wants open borders and don't want to fight. They don't want to fight crime. They hate to fight crime. And in Chicago, last weekend, you had 11 people killed, murdered, and you had 28 shot. And those numbers have been pretty consistent all throughout a period of time, whether it was 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, 11 people, 12 people killed, murdered. And they don't want to spend money to fight crime. And it's not even much money, relatively speaking. It's very little. But we're going there anyway. It doesn't make any difference. We're going to Chicago. We're going to Memphis next. And we're going to clean up the crime in the cities because we have to do that. Okay?
With this deal today, are you confident that the CCP won't be exerting control?
Yeah, we're gonna have a very tight control. And look, it's an amazing thing that's been created. There's tremendous value with Tik Tok. And I'm a little prejudiced because I frankly did so well on it. You know, it got me numbers that nobody's ever even heard of before. So a lot of people want it. The young people of this country want it badly. The parents of those young people want it badly. And so we were able to work out a deal with China. And it's a very good deal for us. I hope it's a good deal for them.
Would you be confident in a deal, or would you accept a deal where China controls the algorithm of TikTok?
Well, it's all being worked out. We're going to have very good control. We have these are American investors, all of them, and they all love our country. They're all very well-known people, very famous people, actually, financially, and they'll have control of it. And I want to thank President Xi because he was a gentleman, and we've just had a good relationship. And we wanted a lot of people in this country wanted to be open. And again, if it weren't open, maybe, I don't know. I think we won by so much it wouldn't have mattered. But we got a lot of votes. We got a lot of Republican votes from very young people. You go ahead, Jeff.
Russian jets entered Estonia's airspace today for 12 minutes. Do you see that as a threat to NATO?
Well, I'm going to have to look at it. They're going to be briefing me in a short while, so I'll let you know about it tonight or tomorrow.
What's your take in general?
Well, I don't love it. I don't love it when that happens. It could be big trouble. But I'll let you know later. They're going to brief me in about an hour.
And a follow-up on Charlie Kirk. There's been a lot of talk about free speech this week. Do you see a difference between cancel culture and consequence culture?
I mean, your question's a little trick question. I'm a very strong person for free speech. At the same time, when you have networks that where I won an election, like in counties, I guess it's 2,600 to 525. That's called landslide. A landslide times 2. When you have that level of popularity or voter support, as I did in the last election, and yet 97 and 94%, different numbers. You see different numbers with different stats. But 97, 94, 95, 96% of the people are against me in the sense of the newscasts are against me. The stories are they said 97% bad. So they gave me 97. They'll take a great story and they'll make it bad. See, I think that's really illegal, personally. You can't have a free airwaves. You're getting free airwaves from the United States government, and you can't have that and say, and somebody that just won an election, and I had to go through this during the election. I think it's a miracle that I can win when 97% of the stories on the networks are bad, or whatever it may be, whether it's 89, doesn't matter. It's a tremendous number.
Hello,
you know,
Miranda.
you report it all
How
the
you
time,
doing?
and it changes.
Appreciate you for joining.
But when you have that kind of a negative reporting, fake negative reporting, when they take a great story and they make it into a bad story constantly, that's what they do. Look, 60 Minutes took Kamala's answer and they threw it out and they gave her a different answer so that she sounded competent. When things like that happen, George Slopadopoulos from your network, right? George Slopadopoulos had to pay $16 million to me because of what he said. And that's ABC. You had to pay more than that. Your network had to pay more than that. So I think it's very sad. But I think that reporting has to be at least accurate to an extent. Again, when somebody is given 97% of the stories are bad about a person, that's no longer free speech. That's no longer anything. That's just cheating.
Hello, Lynette, how you doing?
And they become really members of the Democrat National Committee. That's what they are, the networks, in my opinion. They're just offshoots of the Democrat National Committee.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
Liam Cosgrove with Zero Hedge. People are still anticipating who your pick for National Security Advisor will be. They're worried Marco Rubio is a little overworked, and one of the reported frontrunners is Michael Anton from the State Department.
He's good.
He's just authored the National Security Strategy. Also in the mix is Mike Flynn and
Good.
Steve Witkoff. Can you give us an indication?
Well, they're all good. No, we'll make a decision soon.
Okay.
But we're doing very well. You know, I settled 7 wars, more than that, I think. But actually, we settled 7 wars. I have, we're working on Gaza. It's a tough one, but we'll get it done somehow. And we're also working with Russia and Ukraine. They hate each other so much you wouldn't believe it. President Putin and President Zelensky, they hate each other to a level that you wouldn't believe. So I'm having a little bit of a problem with that.
And are you considering Stephen Moran for Fed Chair?
I hadn't thought of it too much. He's doing a great job. Just got approved. His vote was a very good one. The Fed should have done more. You know, too late. Powell is terrible. He's a terrible chair. I think he's just terrible. But despite that, we're powering through it. We have another record stock market today. We're very, very high levels, and we're at the highest levels. So we're setting records many, many days during my administration. We've set records, and we'll see what happens with 50,000. 50,000 is a pretty big number. Never come close. We're not so far away from it. So that's because they see what's happening. Not so much what's happening exactly right now, but they see all the plants that are being built. They see the kind of investment that's going to be made. When you take $17 trillion, so Biden had $250 billion, okay? Or putting a simpler way, they had much less than $1 trillion, but they had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. I have $17 trillion for 8 months. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I think they're looking at that and they're saying when those plants open, right now they're being built, a lot of them, and some are starting over the next year. It takes a while, but we're getting fast permits. And when those plants get built, I don't think there'll be anything like what we're going to experience. Yeah.
Mr. President, if I can, on the
Hello, Eric.
subject of free speech, Ted Cruz compared Brendan Carr to a mob boss, the way he's threatening television stations and saying it's absolutely dangerous for the government to determine which speech is okay and which is not. What's your reaction to Ted Cruz?
I think Brendan Carr is an incredible American patriot with courage. You know, it used to be, I remember in the old days that networks would have to get licensed, relicensed, and it was always a big deal. You know, they had to show honesty and integrity. When you have a network, again, I'll use the same numbers, whether it's 90 or 94 or 97, all different numbers, but when you have networks that give somebody 97% bad publicity or 94% bad publicity, I think that's dishonesty. And you know, they're getting free airwaves, right? You know that, right? You get them for nothing. These airwaves, they make millions and millions of dollars. The news makes millions of dollars. ABC, your network. I mean, your network wrote very badly about me, and they had to pay me $16 million.
So you think
I
you
wasn't
have a
looking
right,
for
or that
that.
Brendan Carr has a right to...
No, I think
take away
Brendan
the
Carr
license?
is a patriot. I think Brendan Carr is a courageous person. I think Brendan Carr doesn't like to see the airwaves be used illegally and incorrectly and purposely horribly. Doesn't like to see a person that won the election in a landslide get 97% bad publicity before the election. I mean, it's amazing that I won the election with that, but here's what happened. The people have given your networks no credibility. They don't give them any credibility, John. If they did, they wouldn't vote for me. They wouldn't have voted for me. When you look at, I mean, you could also say the liberal media, the liberal left, when you look at these stories and papers, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about, I assume you're talking mostly about the networks, but they have a licensing procedure, and you can read it as well. They have to show honesty and integrity. And when they take a good, well, I think the people decide. That's why I'm president. When they take a great success, like you often do, and you make it into like it's a loser, or you put a negative spin on it, I don't think that's right. So I think Brendan Carr is a great American patriot. So I disagree with Ted Cruz on that.
Will you be at the UN next week? You're going to the UN?
I'll be at the UN. I'll be making a speech, yes.
And are you meeting any other world leaders?
Many of them.
And can you tell us?
Well, I'm meeting many of them. They're being set up.
What is your goal from attending that meeting? What do you hope to get out of it?
World peace. Nobody's done a better job than I've done in world peace. Nobody's settled so many wars as I have. You know, I've been here probably a little bit more than 8 months, and I've settled 7, and that doesn't include the destruction of a vast potential nuclear disaster in Iran, which we wiped out totally. As I say, obliterated. We obliterated it. It's been turned right with this beautiful plane right here. We just ordered some more of them, by the way. The B-2 bomber. Just ordered some more. The more updated version. Not that we needed that. We just need the plane because it was so flawless. These pilots flew 37 hours flawlessly. Not an engine problem. Not a screw. Not a bolt came loose. It was an amazing. Compare that to many years ago, Jimmy Carter, same country, with the helicopters and the problems and the prisoners and the hostages, and what a mess. You know, these planes flew 37 hours without a stop. They fueled up. We had 52 tankers fueling the planes along the way. It was an incredible, and every single bomb hit its mark. And then we fired 30 of them from a submarine. What a job that was. And I don't even include that, but that stopped a war. That stopped maybe a catastrophic war. So, you know, so I think that nobody has ever done anywhere near that. Now, on top of that, we're working very hard to get Russia-Ukraine settled. We'll see what's going to happen there. I hope we're going to get it done. President Xi and I spoke to him about it, and I believe that he really would like to see it done also, and I think he's going to work with us to help.
What was your message to President Xi on the war in Ukraine? What are you asking?
Well, it's the same as his message to me. He would like to see it done. He would like to see it. I believe he would like to see it ended, yes. I do believe.
These 2 wars that you were talking about, Gaza and Ukraine, are escalating at the same time. You're going to take the stage and the UN back at the stage after these years. Do you plan to setting any kind of red lines for these 2 countries? And you said before,
Well, we're going to see.
frustrated with Putin.
Yeah.
Are you also frustrated?
We have a
with
long
him?
time to go before I get up and speak at the UN, because every day is a long time when it comes to Gaza.
What up, ATM
when it comes
Tim?
to
How you
Israel,
doing, bro?
The Middle East. So we have a long time to go, but
Any red
you know a
lines?
lot of my opinions, and remember this, you can't forget October 7th either. People are forgetting October 7th. They forget it too quickly. That was one of the worst days in world history. It was the most evil attack that I think you could really say babies were involved, little babies were involved, and having their heads chopped off and all of the things that took place. You can't forget that. I don't forget that. A lot of people do, but I don't. Yeah, please.
But how about when
Go ahead, please.
What goes into retaking Bagram? Does that require boots on the ground?
We'll see what happens with Bagram.
Hey, Alan, how you doing?
Afghanistan. It should have never been given up. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. There was no reason to give it up. I was leaving Afghanistan. I was leaving. I was the one that got it down to 5,000 soldiers, but we were going to keep Bagram, the air base. I said it yesterday, and we had an incredible trip, as you know, to UK, and I said it during the press conference. It's one of the most powerful runways ever built in terms of weight, length, and load, what it could take, and we just gave it up for nothing. We gave it up for nothing. There was no reason to give it up. We weren't going to leave Bagram. And Joe Biden didn't know what he was doing. We had a man that didn't know what he was doing. We had a man, by the way, that didn't approve. If you take a look at what's happening in Congress, we had a man that signed almost everything with an auto pen. And he didn't tell the people from the auto pen, whoever was using it. The one man that used it predominantly said that Biden only spoke to him twice, and it was only about the weather. Okay, it was about nothing. So those pardons that he gave are illegal. He gave illegal pardons. And that includes a congressman that destroyed and deleted all the information from J6. They deleted everything because it turned out that they were wrong. It turned out that I offered 10,000 National Guard or soldiers, whatever they wanted, and you wouldn't have had a problem. And they turned it down. Nancy Pelosi turned it down, and the mayor of Washington, D.C. turned it down. They deleted everything, and they destroyed it, illegally destroyed it. And Biden gave them a pardon. And Biden gave a lot of other people pardons that, frankly, would be in jail if it wasn't for those pardons. But those pardons now are illegal, according to just about everybody.
What was your
On Letitia James, are you disappointed that the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia has not prosecuted Letitia James? Do you intend to fire him?
Well, we're going to see what happens. I am not following it very closely. It looks to me like she's very guilty of something, but I really don't know. I know that the U.S. Attorney from the Eastern District, or from that district in Virginia, that he was approved by 2 Democrat senators who, in my opinion, are among the worst. And when I learned that 2 senators, Democrats, because as you know, it's very hard with the blue slip, it's very hard for a Republican to get somebody.
Hey, what's
approved
up,
if you have
Donald? How you
one
doing?
senator that's a Democrat.
Eric, how you
because of
doing?
an
What's
old
going on?
custom. It's not a law,
Appreciate
it's a
y'all for
custom.
joining the
It's a
stream.
ridiculous custom. But if you have a Democrat senator, you have to get that senator to approve. Well, in this case, we had 2. When I saw that he got 2 senators, 2 gentlemen that are bad news as far as I'm concerned, when I saw that he got approved by those 2 men, I said, pull it, because he can't be any good.
So you want him fired? You want him out?
Yeah, I want him out, yeah. When I learned that he was blue-slipped through by 2 Democrat senators in Virginia, people that would never vote for it, the people that haven't voted for us for probably years, okay, probably years. In my opinion, 2 bad guys. You know, they are Warner and Kane. 2 bad guys, bad senators too. They do a terrible job for the people of Virginia. But when I saw that he got approved by these 2 terrible people that haven't haven't voted. They just don't vote, no matter what it is. We could give them the greatest deal ever, and they still wouldn't vote. And they voted for this guy. And I have other people, judges, and I have U.S. attorneys from other states where I have the same situation, and they can't get approved. So when I learned that they voted for him, I said, I don't really want him. Okay.
Mr. President, do you want to get...
No, behind you, please.
Have you seen the polling, the Gallup poll out of Ukraine that shows 23%, less than a quarter, of Ukrainians actually support continuing the war against Putin? We saw the European leaders come here and try to say the world is united for the war effort, but Ukrainians have war fatigue themselves.
Well, I don't blame them.
Your thoughts on it?
I don't blame them. It's a war that never should have started. It's a war that never would have happened. If I were president, that war never would have happened, ever. That's a disgrace that war happened. And they're losing anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 people a week on that war, which is the worst since the Second World War. That's a war that should have never happened.
And if you consider
Would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. When I was here, it didn't happen. Go ahead.
Have you considered cutting funding, even promises made by the Biden administration?
Well, we're not spending any money on the war. You know, we're being paid for everything we said. Unlike Biden, he gave them $350 billion. And it was shocking. We're not spending any money on the war. The war is being funded by NATO. NATO is buying our equipment. In fact, I don't want to make money on that war. I don't want to, but we are actually making money on that war because they're buying our equipment, as you know. But NATO, as you know, and very important, is funding the entire thing. They're paying for the missiles, for the tanks. They're paying for anything that's sent over there. It goes to NATO, and then NATO does what they want with it. In this case, I guess they give it to Ukraine. It's a very sad war. It's a war that never should have happened.
Mr. President.
Go ahead, please.
Tik Tok, could you tell me, is the U.S. government going to take a board seat in the company, and will the U.S. government
A what?
a board seat within the company?
Well, we're going to announce it. Are you talking about TikTok?
Yes,
Yeah,
TikTok.
we're going to announce it. But it's a great deal for our country. It's a great deal for all of the young people in the country that wanted it, and people generally. I was happy with it. Look, I wasn't a fan of TikTok, and then I got to use it, and I became a fan, and it helped me win the election in a landslide. So I think that it's a deal that's going to be great. And it's also controlled by very powerful and very substantial American people. By the way, all American people.
Chad, I got a question, Chad. What are the chances that Zuckerberg is the guy that's buying TikTok? Him and Zuckerberg have so been hanging out a lot. What if Facebook buys TikTok? What do y'all think about that, Chad? Facebook buying TikTok.
Yeah, please, behind. Go ahead, please.
President, question from Newsmax. Last year, before you took office, there was an estimated 6.8 million men not actively seeking work of prime working age. So you and Secretary Lutnick could talk about the efforts your administration is taking to help our American gentlemen get back to work.
Yeah, well, what we're doing is they're building plants all over the United States, and frankly, because of tariffs, we're taking in trillions of dollars, and countries that have ripped us off for years, and everyone knows this, countries that have ripped us off for years, like nobody's ever been ripped off before, they're now having to pay up. They're paying a lot of money to America, and we're reducing taxes with that money, and we're doing things that we were never able to do before. So it's you're going to have a lot of jobs.
So that's the rumor already? Is that a rumor already, Chad? That Facebook is buying TikTok? Is that the rumor?
Jobs are being created right now, and the tariffs are protecting our country. And we didn't use, tariffs were used against us, but we didn't use them against others. But we're really better at it than anybody else, and we will have taken in trillions of dollars. Nobody's ever seen anything. Even people that were against the tariffs, now they see the way they're working. And by the way, with no inflation, with no problem, we're just building up cash, and we're using that cash to reduce taxes, reduce debt, and other things. It's a great thing to watch. And your honest reporters are saying they've never seen anything like what's happening. Our country is becoming very rich again only because of tariffs. If we didn't have it, if I didn't get elected, this country would be, it was a dead country. Look, we were a dead country a year ago, and now we're the most successful, most vibrant country anywhere in the world. Hello, Sean. Nice to see you. You look good on television.
Thanks, sir.
Good.
Tonight, in a few minutes, Steve Bannon will appear on my show.
Good.
He floats the idea that you should dual hat Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, not only as Treasury Secretary, but as interim Fed chair. Would you be willing to entertain that?
In other words, you like Scott.
Yes, sir, very much.
So do I. And I like Steve, too. Okay.
Would you like to see that, him dual
Well,
hat?
it's certainly an interesting tool. We can save a little bit on salary. I think I could maybe make a deal where we just give him one salary. You know, I have a couple of them.
I don't think you need
I have Marco. No, I don't think so. And we have
Hey,
we have
what's up,
Marco's got
Amy?
about 3 positions, right?
Thank
He's
you for
doing
joining
great.
the chat.
No,
We really appreciate
no, I don't
it.
think that's going to be necessary. Actually, I went to Scott and I talked to him about that position, and he loves what he's doing right now. So, you know, he's not in the mix because he loves being Secretary of the Treasury.
Quick follow-up. Today is the first day of early voting in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Are you planning on campaigning for Winston Sears, John Reed, or Jason Mayaris?
Well, I'm going to have to look at some of them. As you know, it's sort of a semi-local election. I've been watching it. I've been seeing the ads.
I would appreciate it as a Virginia voter.
Who do you like of the group? Who do you like?
The whole ticket, sir.
All of them? You like them? All right.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll take a very strong look.
Appreciate
Okay.
it.
For you, I'm going to look.
Secretary Kennedy's panel on vaccine changed
Yeah.
its broad recommendations on COVID-19 vaccines today. Are you comfortable with that change, or would you like to see Americans take the vaccines that were developed under your tenure?
Yeah. Well, the vaccines, according to a lot of
What's
people,
up,
if you look
Katrina?
at Georgia, have had a tremendous,
How you
Operation
doing?
Warp Speed. It was, just according to just about everybody, was one of the greatest things that
How are
any
you?
president has
Hello,
ever
how
done
you
in this
doing?
country. So we're very
Hey,
proud of it. I'm very
David,
proud
how
of
you
it.
doing?
I'm also very proud
Appreciate y'all for joining.
Regeneron and some of the things that came out of, all of the labs and all of the research that we've done. So I don't know exactly what the final determination is, but I had the vaccine. I was very happy with it. Here I am, right? Here I am.
Have you had it again recently?
Bobby Kennedy seems to be undoing what you did with
No, I put him in. I put him in there because I want to have opposite views. That's okay. I think we're going to have something very, very big coming up soon on autism.
Wow,
Autism
thanks,
is totally
King
out of
James.
control, and one of the biggest, one of the most important things that, in my opinion, I had to do is to see what's going on with autism. And we're going to have a news conference early next week on autism, and I think you're going to see some things that are amazing that we've learned.
See, chat, I just kind of figured it out. I mean, he been hanging with Zuckerberg or whatever his name is a lot. So it kind of makes sense that for Facebook to buy TikTok. So we'll have to see if that's what's going to happen. But it just makes sense that Facebook buys TikTok.
I put Bobby there as somebody that will go either way. And I want the facts, but I also look at facts from Pfizer, where they spent a lot of money, and the other drug companies. They spent a lot of money on finding out the results after the fact, and the results were amazingly good.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
I'm wondering if you've seen the video put out by former Israeli hostages addressed to you. One is a widow of one that died, and these are people who were freed thanks to you. But they're actually encouraging you to force a ceasefire, force Netanyahu to a ceasefire, and they didn't address it to him because they think you're the one who might actually listen to them and get it done. They're worried that the hostages who are still there are more at risk if the war continues.
Well, they might be. They also, maybe they'll be freed because of that. You never know how it's going to look. War, I was saying, yes. War, a lot of strange things happen. A lot of results take place that you would never think were going to happen. As you know, I was able to get most of the hostages out. We're down to 20, and we have 32 dead people. You know that. We have 32, maybe more, 38, but between 32 and 38 people that were dead, mostly young people. And I've dealt with some of the parents. And we got all our Americans out, as you know, but now we're talking about mostly Israelis. But I dealt with parents, I spoke to parents, and they want the body of their son, believe in almost all cases sons, but they want the body of their cherished, beautiful son. They want the body back as much as though he were alive. It's so sad to see. But I've dealt with the mothers and fathers. Please, sir, please, the body of my son. They know he's dead, and they just want him back. They want him back as much as though he's alive. I mean, it's very terrible. And you know, we have very close to 40 bodies that are included in the whole thing. But we have 20, probably 20 that are living. It might be a little bit less because a couple of things. Look, young people don't die, okay? They just don't die. And they can take a lot, but a lot of people died in these horrible tunnels. They're mostly in the tunnels. I know a lot about it. I got them out. But I always said the last 20, when you get down to the last 10 or 20, it's going to be very tough. It's a nasty situation. You can't forget October 7th, but it's a nasty situation, terrible. It's a terrible thing.
On Gaza, the UN concluded this week that Israel committed genocide in Gaza. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I haven't seen that. I'm looking at it, but did anybody commit genocide on October 7th? What do you think about that? That was genocide at the highest level. That was murder, genocide, you can call it whatever you want. But little babies were chopped in half. Arms were cut off people, heads were cut off people. That's genocide. That's genocide also, I guess, right?
President, on TikTok, you referred to getting a fee from that deal. What is that fee?
Well, it hasn't been fully negotiated, but we'll get something from the standpoint that we worked hard. We put up a lot. We spent a lot of money on letting this come and letting this, you know, it's a very, very big deal. It's a very powerful deal. And the United States really, I see it. I mean, people were saying, save TikTok, save TikTok. So many people. It's a big thing. And, you know, China can be very proud that they were able to get that started. And so I very much appreciate President Xi's working with us on that. Very much.
What comes next after designating Antifa?
Well, we have others that we're going to designate too, but we're going to look at the people that funded Antifa, see who they are, where they came from, and why they did. Have you seen Portland at all? Have you taken a look what's happening in Portland? It's, I mean, this has been going on for years.
I'll be right back, chat. I'll be right back. We got 800 people in the building. Appreciate y'all for joining. Subscribe to the channel and hit the like button and put on the notification bell. I'll be right back, chat.
Chicago's a great city and we have to save it. We have to save it. I told you I had the head of the Union Pacific Railroad in my office and I said, so what do you think? You go to every city, you have railroads in you are the biggest railroad, beautiful railroad, he's a great guy. I said, what do you think? He said, sir, save Chicago. Don't let it go down. Save it. The way he said it was so meaningful to me. It was so like, it was like terrible. In a way, it was terrible. Save Chicago. You know, who would ever think that we'd be sitting here talking about saving Chicago? Chicago's a great city. They have a terrible mayor. Terrible. He's at like 5% approval rating. He's an incompetent person. They have an incompetent governor, in my opinion. He's incompetent. 11 people get shot, and he says crime isn't a good shot. I mean, they're losing 4, 5, 6 people a week, getting killed by bullets, by knives. And then he says how wonderful it is, Chicago. So, well, it might be wonderful for him. I think they're afraid. Look, he's not a stupid guy. I really believe they're afraid to say, politically, I guess, from an ideology standpoint, from a democratic standpoint, he is afraid to say the fact that they have a very unsafe, very dangerous city. He should say, I'm going to call President Donald Trump and I'm going to ask him to send in the troops, to send in the National Guard and clean this hellhole up. because Chicago can be a great city again. I'll tell you what, Washington, D.C. is a great place again. It's booming, and the restaurants are booming. And 6 months ago, 7 months ago, nobody could go outside. And even just walking around the White House, people here are thanking me for what I've done. They're thanking me. They're saying thank you. And I almost know what they mean, because they can walk to work. And even when they took Uber and they took other forms of transportation, they felt unsafe because the car was hijacked while they're in there. They take a car, and it's being hijacked as they get into the car. And they did that for safety. And now we have a safe place. You know, we've taken 1,500 people out of career criminals have been taken out of Washington, D.C. And we weren't very nice about it.
What do you think about rail merger? Did you discuss it with the Union Pacific?
I did discuss it, and I don't know, I don't want to make a comment on it, but Union Pacific is a great railroad, and they want to add a railroad that had a mistake at a place very close to my heart. You know, a lot of people say that that was a place where I got off to a very good start. It was a rough thing that happened. Well, they're trying to buy that railroad that had the problem. And it sounds good to me, to be honest with you. Sounds good to me. I'm a very big fan of the head of the railroad, the head of the Union Pacific. He started as a very low on the totem pole, started his job very low and became the chairman of the company over a 45-year period. But I asked him about different cities. He said, St. Louis is tough. We thought, you know, he sort of stops at many of them. New Orleans. We have to save New Orleans.
Mr. President, when are you going to get
We're going to be going into New York.
Coffee, what happened in 1984? Coffee, do not let 1984 happen. Let us know what happened in 1984.
New York too. Yeah.
Mr. President,
And we're going to be going in quiet. You're really obnoxious.
I'm not obnoxious, but I'm trying to ask you, what about your plans
You are
for
really
Memphis?
obnoxious.
I'm not obnoxious, but I
Okay.
am asking, what are your
Okay.
plans for Memphis? Many people
I'm not going to talk to you until I call on you.
What are your plans
So,
for Memphis?
who else? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to settle this free speech question, because you said that you restored free speech in America.
Yeah.
Is that free speech including for people who are harshly critical of you, for your political opponents, for people who say things you don't
I've
like,
become
who
immune
treat
to
you
it.
unfairly?
I've become immune to it. There's never been a person that's had more unfair publicity than me, and that's why your network paid me $15 million, or $16 million, I believe, to be exact, George Slopadopoulos, and that's why CBS paid me a lot of money too. And that's why I sued the New York Times 2 days ago for a lot of money. Because I'm winning. I mean, I'm winning the cases, and the reason I'm winning is because you're guilty, John. You're guilty. ABC is a terrible network, a very unfair network, and you should be ashamed of yourself. NBC is equally bad. I don't know who's worse. I think they're equally bad. And, you know, for you to stand there and act so innocent and ask me a question like that. But look, you paid a big price because you were dishonest, John. The reason I won that lawsuit was because you were dishonest. You were proven to be dishonest. And so you can't sit back and just say, oh, well, what do you think? You know, like you're some wonderful person. You're not a wonderful person. Frankly, you're a terrible reporter. You know it, and so do I. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about something that's going to reduce our taxes greatly. That's going to hopefully bring some great people into our country. You know, as you know, right now nobody's coming in because we've succeeded in closing. We've closed the border very successfully. I think you will agree. We had nobody come in for the last few months. I mean, it was actually said zero. Even I can't believe zero, but the numbers are put out by very impartial people or people that have a tendency to be on the left. And they actually said for the last 3 months, nobody came in. We have a very strong border. It's a closed border. People are coming into our country, but they're coming in legally. It's a beautiful thing to watch. But we are doing something where rather than coming into the border, 25 million people came into our country during Biden. One of the saddest things, the worst thing Look, he was horrible in inflation. He was horrible in just about everything you could be. I don't think he was good on. He wasn't even fair on anything. It was a horrible administration. He was the worst president in the history of our country, and we have to mop it up. The hardest thing that we have to do is to get rid of the criminals that he allowed into our country from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers. And we're getting them out, and we're getting them out fast, and we're making America safe again. Great again, but we're making America safe again. And it's an honor to do it. But this is an unforced error. What they've done is this is just an unforced error. So I'm going to ask Howard to speak. Howard's done a fantastic job, as you know, Secretary of Commerce. And I'm going to ask Howard and Will, could you just give a quick description of what we're doing and what we're signing, et cetera? And
yes, sir.
I will do that. Go ahead.
We have two items for your attention today, sir. A major focus of your administration has been shifting the conversation and shifting the policy dynamics around the issue of immigration, closing the border, preventing illegal immigration, but also, as is the case with the executive order in front of you, opening new pathways for truly extraordinary people to come contribute to America instead of taking away from it. So this executive order is entitled the Gold Card. It will set up a new pathway, a new visa pathway for foreigners of extraordinary ability who are committed to supporting the United States for a payment of $1 million to the U.S. Treasury, or if a corporation is sponsoring them, $2 million by that corporation, and that will give them access to expedited visa treatment as part of this new Gold Card program.
And one of the biggest problems we have is that people, they go to the best schools and they do great and they get great marks, and then they're thrown out of the country. You're not allowed to stay. This way, a corporation will be able, sort of like a signing bonus in baseball or football, a corporation will be able to get them to stay in the country. And I think it's going to be tremendously successful. Howard, would you say a few words about it, please?
Sure. So historically, the employment-based green card program let in 281,000 people a year. And those people, on average, earned $66,000 a year on average, and they were 5 times more likely to go on assistance programs of the government. So we were taking in the bottom quartile, below the average American. It was illogical. The only country in the world that was taking in the bottom quartile. So what we are doing now is we are going to stop doing that. We're going to only take extraordinary people at the very top. Instead of people trying to take the jobs from Americans, they're going to create businesses and create jobs for Americans. And this program will raise more than $100 billion for the Treasury of the United States of America.
Which we'll use for cutting taxes and paying down debt. We think it's going to be very successful. Essentially, we're having people come in, people that in many cases, I guess, are very successful or whatever, and they're coming in, they're going to spend a lot of money to come in, they're going to pay as opposed to walking over the borders, and they may come from jails, prisons, and everything else. These people don't. They're very productive people. And they're going to pay $1 million. A corporation is going to pay $2 million. And it's going to raise billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars, which is going to go to reduce taxes, pay off debt, and other good things. So I think it's going to be very successful.
Mr. President,
what?
Big techs, are the big techs on board with this decision?
What's going to, well, I wish you'd speak more clearly, I really do. Give it to me again.
Are the big techs, the CEOs, on board with this decision?
Big techs?
Tech companies. Big tech companies.
Yeah, big tech. Yeah, it's big tech. It's every company. It's big tech. It's big tech. It's big everything. Okay. It's a company. I said it's not a tech company. It's tech companies and everything else. It's companies having a hard time getting people to be able to stay in the country. It's very difficult. Now, if you want to walk through the border, you can have no problem. People say, well, the best way to come in is walk right through the border, but they can't do that anymore because under our administration, the border is totally closed. You can only come in if you come in legally, and that's the way it's been, and that's the way it should be. And we're taking a lot of people out of the country that are here from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions, and even insane asylums, people that are crazy. we're taking them out of the country. We're getting them out of the country because you can't have a country like that. And I tell you, Christie and Tom Holman and all of the people that have worked so hard on this, they've done an unbelievable job. And I think we're getting great marks for it. People feel safe. Washington, D.C. is just the beginning. We brought the numbers down in Chicago a little bit by having the FBI in there for the last 5 months. We brought the numbers down in Memphis a little bit, but now we're going for the big one. Now we're going to go for the big one. But we set ourselves up very well in Chicago, Memphis, New Orleans a little bit, going in early just to see what was happening. We study it. We're studying the site. It's sort of like war. I mean, I hate to tell you, it's like war. Some of these people are really bad. They're really, really sick people. They're dangerous people. They're killers. They're murderers, drug dealers, and can't have it. You can't have a country like that. It's so beautiful to see at Washington, D.C., that people are walking down the middle of the street and they're going to restaurants, and you are too. And half of you were mugged. I mean, I don't know if she's here now. I don't see her, but some people were badly mugged that were reporters. 2 of the people right standing in the back of the room were mugged, and they're not going to have that anymore. And if you look at the crime stats in Washington, D.C., you have a safe place again. They were afraid to go to a restaurant because the restaurant would be held up while they're having dinner. And so they'd be mugged going there, and assuming they escaped the mugging, they go to the restaurant and then they're held up. This is how bad it's been. Yep.
Follow up on the visa question. I think this may be the next thing that you're signing, but for the H-1B visa action that you're doing,
that's going to be next. We'll talk about that.
You're very close to the technology CEOs. Are they concerned about that?
I think they're going to be very happy. Everyone's going to be happy. And we're going to be able to keep people in our country that are going to be very productive people. And in many cases, these companies are going to pay a lot of money for that. And they're very happy about it. Okay, we'll talk about that next, all right? Okay. My friend, why don't you keep that, okay?
Thank you.
Done such a good job. Okay. It's phase 1. John, are you happy? Thank you. Okay, let's go.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most abused visa systems in our current immigration system has been the H-1B non-immigrant visa program. This is supposed to allow highly skilled laborers who work in fields that Americans don't work in to come into the United States of America.
Hey,
what
what's up,
this
Dakota?
proclamation will do is raise the fee that companies pay to sponsor H-1B applicants to $100,000. This will ensure that the people they're bringing in are actually very highly skilled and that they're not replaceable by American workers. So it'll protect American workers, but ensure that companies have a pathway to hire truly extraordinary people and bring them to the United States to work.
We need workers. We need workers. We need great workers. And this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen. I think, Sean, do you agree with that?
Well, they're $100,000 per year. So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000, then they have to pay the employee. So it's just not economic. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land, train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs. That's the policy here, $100,000 a year for H-1B visas, and all of the big companies are on board. We've spoken to them about the gold card.
They love it. They love it. They really love it. They need it. Go ahead, Sean.
Mr. President, it seems like there's 2 categories of visa programs. The H-1B, a lot of people believe take American jobs, and then the gold card and programs like EB-5 that add value and jobs to America. Is that sort of how you look at the visa program?
Well, ideally, look, if somebody's got the people, they're not going to want to spend $100,000 as an example in your second category. So it's not taking jobs. And we need certain jobs. We need certain skill jobs that we don't have. But they won't be taking jobs because, ideally the people aren't going to want to, they're not going to
investing in America.
Right, that's right.
So that's what I'm asking.
They're really investing in
America.
America.
You have 2 categories. One, the Secretary left the gold card and EB-5 that create jobs, add investment, and there's other ones that seem to take, whether it's a J1 and O or an H-1B that take U.S. jobs.
Yeah, it's pretty correct. I would say that's a correct assessment. But the main thing is we're going to have great people coming in, and they're going to be paying. I mean, it's it's wonderful to say, oh, gee, we took in 25 million people that, look, many criminals, jails were opened from Venezuela, from many other countries, and they were let out of jail and poured into our country, our poor country, how it suffered with this stupid president that we had and the stupid people that surrounded him right around this desk, these liberal, crazy people that have destroyed, they could have destroyed. If we didn't win this election, our country would have been dead. Our country was dead. Think of it, and I've said this, man, the king of Saudi Arabia said, your country was dead 1 year. They thought it was dead. This country couldn't have survived another year of those people running it. And now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Think of that. And this is going to help. And we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. This will be taken in, the gold card will be taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And companies will be able to keep some people that they need. You know, they need people of expertise, great expertise. And I think it's going to be a fantastic thing. And we're going to take that money and we're going to reduce taxes. We're going to reduce debt. We have a very, very strong country. We assuming everything works out great with the lawsuit that we have a lawsuit that's inspired by foreign countries that ripped us off for 25 years. But assuming we win that, we hopefully win it. It's in the Supreme Court of the United States. We have a country that no stopping us. We're rich, we'll be rich. We can take care of poor people. We can take care of our military. We can take care of everything. We can take care of beyond the country. We can help take care of the world. That we don't, it'll just be the same struggle that we've had for years where other countries charged us tariffs and they ripped us off. Our country has been ripped off more than any country in the history of the world. And now we're doing what we have to do. We're taking in billions and billions of dollars at levels that nobody has ever seen, trillions of dollars. And we're using it to reduce debt. We're using it to reduce taxes. The great big beautiful bill is a big tax reduction. It's being paid for by the tariffs, and people are paying a lot less money in taxes. They're being, think of it, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. It's an unbelievable phenomenon. It really is. It's the golden age. We're making it the golden age. Without the tariffs, it would be impossible. And China, for years, charged us tariffs, and they continue to do it, and so do other countries. Most countries, they charge us. They were ripping. Look, the European Union, as you know, I get along very well with them, but they ripped us off so badly. Nobody's ever seen anything. Now, the European Union is paying us $950 billion, and they're paying us $750 billion to buy our energy, and they're okay with it. They signed the agreement. You know, it's not like anybody forced them to do it. They're okay with this. Tariffs are making our country very rich again, and we'll be able to take care of our debt. We'll be able to take care of our taxes, lower taxes. We'll be able to take care of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. We're going to be a rich country again. Without tariffs, we'd be in very big trouble.
H-1Bs are sometimes used by people already in the country legally. On other visas or student visas, does this apply to them or to renewals, or does it only apply to people applying for the first time from abroad?
Renewals, first times, the company needs to decide, is that person valuable enough to have $100,000 a year payment to the government, or they should head home and they should go hire an American. The whole idea, it's annual, and it's for total, it can be a total of 6 years. So $100,000 a year, so either the person is very valuable to the company and America, or they're going to depart and the company's going to hire an American, and that's the point of immigration. Hire Americans and make sure the people coming in are the top people. Stop the nonsense of letting people just come into this country on these visas that were given away for free. President is crystal clear. Valuable people only for America. Stop the nonsense.
And remember, the country,
fee to America.
The country would rather not have to pay $100,000, but And they'd rather, how do you do that? You hire Americans. So there's an incentive to hire American. But there may be instances where it's better off doing it through expertise or whatever it may be. But they're both unbelievable, whether it's a gold card or anything else that we talked about today. And that includes talking about freedom of speech, because our country has been decimated by bad people, very bad people, people that love crime. They love crime. Explain it to me. They don't want to have our military go in and save lives. But when you go and ask the people, do you mind having the National Guard come in if it meant safety? They look at the questioner like, what's wrong? What kind of a stupid question is that? Of course they do. We're going to have a safe country again. We're not going to have people shot, 11 people shot. Think of it. In Chicago, over a period of 6 or 7 weeks, 55 people were murdered. And then you have a governor saying how wonderful it is. It's not wonderful. It's a very unsafe. There's not a place in the world. You go outside, you go to Afghanistan, you go to different places all over the world that you hear about. It's 20% of what's happening in places like Chicago. And you think of them as unsafe. Mexico City, it's a tough place, dangerous place. The crime rate is lower. Think of it. What's happening to our country? We're not going to let it happen. And I think I got elected largely for that reason. So we're going to have a safe country again. We're going to have a great country again. We're doing unbelievably. We have the highest stock market in history. We have the most investment we've ever had, ever, as a country coming in. And we're very simple. You know, they said, how'd you get elected? I got elected because I'm going to make America great again. That's what we're doing. We're making America great again. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Wow, 100,000 per person on the card. You need somebody that's going to do the work that's not American, $100,000 a year. Or if not you, if you don't want to do that, you got to hire an American. That's expensive, guys. All right, here we go with Charlie Kirk talking to the young adults. Let's go. Appreciate y'all for joining. 500 people in the building. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all, chat. Now we finna roll this Charlie Kirk talking to these young adults at the University of Tennessee. Shout out to the volunteers.
As much as I agree with being a progressive liberal, a lot of liberals do not associate with that person. And that sounds rude, but I just want to say that that is not the stance of a lot of liberals. However, my statement / question is, would you agree / disagree that the Make America movement, Make America Great movement, again, you know, MAGA movement, is a cult?
No. Why don't you explain to me and the audience what is a cult?
Of course. Okay. Do you know any characteristics of a cult?
Sure. I mean, you could take the Jonestown death cult, of which there was a charismatic leader that constantly lied people, and they took them out of everyday normal life and leads them towards ostracization and cutting off of family ties. Am I getting closer to describing the Democrat Party?
According to the... No. What I'm talking about is MAGA. According to the Bethune Cook University website, characteristics of a cult include isolating members and criticizing them for leaving. Would you say that members of the MAGA movement will criticize others for leaving?
Well, yeah. I mean, but you guys criticize players that transfer out of the University of Tennessee football team. That's not a cult.
Okay, what about the absolute authoritarianism without meaningful accountability?
Okay, so what you're trying to say is that, like, what the leader says, the leader gets, basically?
Yes, Trump.
We have lots of disagreements in the MAGA movement. In fact, I'm more pro-life than the president is. In fact, a lot of people in this audience would have differing views maybe on where the president is at on Israel or Gaza or Ukraine or Russia. In fact, some people in this audience might say the president is not as pro-Second Amendment as they would like. I would argue that we actually have far more intellectual diversity in the MAGA movement than your traditional Democrat Party.
I see where you're going with this and stating that not every person who, I guess, supports Trump is fully supportive of him, but I'm saying the MAGA movement who will agree with him no matter what.
Well, I actually think that there's more depth and complexity to the MAGA movement than you would imagine. A lot of people here who would consider themselves to be part of the MAGA movement, they won't blindly sign on to everything that Trump does. However, they will say that they agree with him 8 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times. And so I would say, though, you know what was a cult? What was a cult is what we lived during COVID. During COVID, and allow me to build out the argument that no matter what the CDC or Anthony Fauci would say, you would have the little talking heads on television parrot it back, no matter how insane it was. We must close the schools, 6 feet to slow the spread, wear a mask while showering. Okay, I made that one up. But, I mean, the point being is that far more had characterizations of what a cult would be than the traditional Make America Great Again movement.
Okay, but you could also argue the side that Fox News does the exact same thing, where they just regurgitate everything that the right media is saying, and people on the right will believe anything Fox News says. And I'm not defending CNN. I'm not saying the Democratic Party is perfect. I'm just saying that there is a movement of conservative people who support Trump who will do it no matter what.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get to where you have come to this opinion. I'm trying to understand it because I see something completely different.
I do not use CNN as my news source, by the way, just so you know.
Good for you. Apparently you haven't been in an airport recently because the only people that watch CNN is if you're walking through an airport. So I'm trying to understand where you're coming from, and by your own definition of a cult.
It's not my own. It's a legitimate
fine. So let me ask you a question. A cult would probably convince people to do something that would be against their humanity. Would you agree?
Yes.
A cult would probably get people to do something that they know is wrong, even though they think they should do something as right.
Maybe, because some of these people are brainwashed into believing certain things that
For
they
sure.
don't actually agree with because they don't have the proper information
Got
on
it.
it.
So, for example, would you agree that when the Democrats sat during the State of the Union address to not applaud a kid with brain cancer, that is cult-like behavior? Because their leader told them not to do it. I mean,
well, who told them not to?
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember when they did that, Chad. That wasn't cool at all. They didn't pay no respect for that kid. Yeah, I remember that.
Exactly. I mean, their leadership told them.
So who's their leader? If
Well,
they're a cult,
Chuck
then who's their
Schumer
leader?
or Hakeem Jeffries, they had strict orders, do not stand and applaud for anything Trump does. They told us this.
Yes.
And so then Trump says, hey, can we just have a moment of non-political? Here's DJ Daniel. He's dying of brain cancer. He's now a ceremonial member of the Secret Service. And every Democrat sat with their arms crossed, not even being able to show the humanity. I mean, that's a cult.
Okay. To respond to that is simply one example, and I'm sure you can pull a bunch other out. And I'm not saying that what the Democratic Party did that night was correct. I believe that what they were doing was standing against Trump's hypocrisy and his narcissism and his way of making himself look good by using other people who are marginalized to make himself look good.
So here's my suggestion, and take it for whatever it's worth. Calling the opposition political movement a cult when the other one that you happen to be more allied with is obviously much more of a cult is not helpful.
Okay, then tell me. Tell me how it's a cult. Tell me how the Democratic Party is a cult compared to MAGA.
I'll give you another I mean, you asked me for more examples.
Yes.
The day of the State of the Union address, all 22 Democrat senators repeated the very same video on social media, mindlessly like robots.
What video?
The video where they said, something is effing out of control and this is not right. You guys all saw that video. Repeating the same incantation with not even an iota of creativity or ingenuity. like just repeating it like as if they've been hypnotized into a... Got it.
I have not seen that video.
Well, you should. But again, I'm not even the one that is up here throwing around the cult word towards the Democrat Party. I just think it's a supremely rich accusation to say the MAGA movement is part of a cult, when evidently, based on the own standard that you put forward, the Democrat Party embodies those characteristics far more than Republicans or conservatives ever have or ever will.
So one of the main aspects of a cult is a leader, a charismatic leader that people will follow blindly no matter what. The leader of the MAGA movement is Trump. Who are you stating the leader of the Democratic Party is that people will follow blindly without questioning no matter what?
Well, I mean, there's...
And I'm hearing tons of different examples, so that can just tell you there's not one.
Okay, again, so it could be Obama, it could be Rachel Maddow. I mean... The point being is that I don't even think it's the strongest argument to call either party a cult. That's not why I'm up here. I'm simply just playing the same frequency that you're coming at, that based on the definition, the Democrat Party is far more mindless and far more of a Borg, to use a Star Trek analogy, than the Republican Party or the conservative movement. And so, but here's something I do want to ask, though. If you are positing that it is a cult, do you think this entire audience is part of a cult and they don't realize it?
I think that my statement was the Make America Great Again movement is a cult. I'm not saying the conservative party is. I'm saying the far-right MAGA movement is a cult. I will say that I believe in my heart that there are certain people in this group who could be characterized as someone who is in a cult.
Okay. I mean, I think that's insane. And I'm not here to give Democrats advice, but it's so destructive to our politics to call people that just won a national electoral landslide and the national popular vote as part of a cult. Maybe instead it should be, maybe they have better ideas than we do.
Maybe they just... Maybe they had billions of dollars to put into their campaign funding that got them the awareness.
Hold on. I mean, you seem well-intentioned. So who spent more money in this election, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? It's not even close. It's 3-to-1 more money was spent by Kamala and her affiliated super PACs than Donald Trump.
So, do you have the numbers?
Yeah, you can go to opensecrets.org. You can look at all the outside groups, the hard money that Kamala raised, the super PACs that they raised. Democrats, by the way, do you know that 8 out of 10 of the wealthiest counties in America vote Democrat? Do you know the wealthier you are in America, the more likely you are to be a member of the Democrat Party? That the more, if you work with your hands and you don't graduate from college, that you're less likely to be a Democrat. Now, one of your fellow cult members just screamed at me from the audience saying, well, that's because, they're so educated. Do never conflate everybody, credentials, with an education. Just because you have a lot of degrees does not mean you have the most important thing, wisdom. Wisdom is different than a credential. Now, I could tell that you're coming after this from a good perspective. So my last homework assignment for you is this. I want you to go find 5 people with a MAGA hat once this event is over and talk to them. And then I want you to say what you said to me. I want you to first accuse them of being in a cult, because if you can say it to me, you can say it to them.
Sure.
And then I want you to have a good faith conversation, because we are not going to bring this country together, of which is actually our goal here as part of the MAGA movement, which is why we have an open mic. If you go around accusing people as if we're following Charlie Manson.
You just did the same thing to me.
Well, in all fairness, I said, if this is the standard of our dialogue right now, the Democrat Party is far more of a cult than the Republican Party. That is not a contention that I throw around lightly, but it is, you satisfy the requirements way more than the MAGA movement does.
You haven't asked me enough questions to know that.
Well, that has nothing to do with what I've said.
Yes, it does.
I mean,
you haven't asked me if I would blindly follow some leader of the Democratic Party, which is no. I would only follow if I do the in-depth research of an unbiased source to get my information, and then I base my opinion
so
off of that.
Fair enough. Can you give me an example of an unbiased source?
I mean, like Mayo Clinic or just like any EDU source of college information.
I'll end this. If that's your idea of a biased source,
Off the top of my head.
I would encourage you to dig deeper and be more of a free thinker.
And I will, and I am a free thinker. And I grew up in a conservative household. And once I left my parents and their beliefs, and I moved to college in a very conservative state, I actually become more progressive.
Okay, and so how is your relationship with your parents?
I mean, it's fine. We don't agree on most things, but...
Wait, so they didn't kick you out for having a different opinion? They're terrible cult members. Wait, they still love you for who you are, and do they pay your tuition?
Nope.
Okay,
I pay my own tuition. I pay everything on my own.
Well, good. Then they're even better parents. They make you pay for your own stuff. The point, so you can't even point to your own family as being part of a cult. They still love you. They still talk to you.
I would go as far to say, and if they're watching this, I do believe that my parents are in a cult. But
do you understand how damaging that is? To go around to say the people who raised you and nurtured you and brought you into the world that you're a cult because some professor told me the definition of a cult in an anthropology course.
Nope. You're wrong.
All right. Thank you.
It was nice to talk to you, though.
Thank you for your time.
Sorry.
Okay. Silence.
Hi, so I'm not technically, I don't go to UT, and I'm not the legal age to vote yet, and my parents are divorced, and both of my parents have separate political views. My mom's conservative, and my dad's a liberal, and my mom is always kind of pushing me to bring politics into my life, and I was wondering, A, should I care, and if I should, why, and which parent should I lean more towards?
Got it. So did you say mom's liberal?
Mom's conservative.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's the opposite I would have thought. Okay,
Yeah.
So I see you have a shirt here that says, whom shall I send? Here I am, right?
Yes.
Which I love. That is the Hebrew word Hanani, which appears many times throughout the scriptures. When Abraham, the binding of Isaac, Moses at the burning bush, the call of Isaiah, the call of Samuel. Every believer here in the audience, by the way, the most important thing is to bring Jesus into your life. Let me just make sure I say that. Most important thing. It's way more important than politics. It's the most important thing.
Amen.
And so I encourage every believer out here to learn what that word Hanani means. It means, Lord, use me, send me. And I could tell you're probably going through a trial right now because your parents are separate and it's not easy. So the scriptures are very clear about this. Christianity has a heavy emphasis on honoring your parents. Mm-hmm. Now, to contrast that with the prior questioner, I don't think she's doing a good job of honoring her parents because she's accusing them of being in a cult.
Yeah.
This is very important, everybody. Even if your parents share values and views and a worldview that you do not have, you are biblically obligated to honor them, which means to spend time with them and to love on them and to go visit them. Even if they are wearing a Black Lives Matter and in this home that we have no hate and trans lives, you still go and spend time with your parents. Because if you are incapable, in this case, of honoring your earthly father, you will never honor your heavenly father. And it's very clear in the 10 Commandments, and then I'll get down to the specific advice. In the 10 Commandments, it is the only commandment, honor your mother and father so that you may...
No, I'm not, Claire, but I can't keep stopping and breaking it up when people was really paying attention to what's going on. So just sit and chill and hang out, chill out. But I can't keep stopping every time to say something in the middle of a debate. But I appreciate you for joining me. We got 1,200 people in the building. Y'all hit the like button. This is a tribute, Claire, to Charlie Kirk.
Live long in the land of which you are in. It is the only commandment that deals with a promise and your country. You will cease to have a strong country, America, if we do not have kids honoring their parents. Everyone out there, every day, you should call your parents on a weekly basis. I know college exists a lot of the times to separate children from the parents. They want to try to separate you from your upbringing. Your parents aren't cool, they don't understand you, they don't share your values. The closer that you stay with your parents, even though you have disagreements, the better you will be and your nation will be. Now, to your personal advice, find out what you believe and why you believe it. If a parent ever tells you to do something that is sinful or goes against God, that is a violation of what it means to honor them. It doesn't mean you have to blindly obey them, but you must honor them, which really means to treat them heavily, basically to treat that with a lot of weight. I would instead be close to both of them. It's a very difficult situation. You're going to grow up a lot quicker because of it.
I appreciate you, Alan. Thank you for coming through and liking and subscribing.
And come to your own independent political views and let them be known to each appropriate parent.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard. So how would I express the different views to, say, my mom or my dad?
Well, your view should be the same regardless of who you're talking to. So I think you're not old enough yet to vote, so you're still searching. So instead, I wouldn't even take strong political views. I would say,
Asher the GOAT, hello, how you doing? Appreciate you for joining.
Mom and Dad, I don't want to talk politics. I just want to talk the Bible. It's not a political thing. It's a biblical thing. That would be my advice to you. So every time it comes up, like, oh, you should support Trump. Oh, you should hate Trump. Say, you know what? Can we just talk things from Scripture? Always go back to fundamental Scripture when you're talking to your parents. And when you do that, it could be very disarming. And then you both have something to appeal to. You have a greater truth that then you're able to look at, appeal to, and hopefully, get you through this difficult chapter. God bless you. You want a hat?
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you. Who has a disagreement? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. We'll go here, and then we'll go to... Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Because I respect what he's doing, Claire. I respect what he was doing. If you just heard this little segment right here, he was giving knowledge to these young adults that a lot of kids don't have respect for their parents these days. And with his influence, they were listening to what he was saying, and what he said could probably help them have a better relationship with their parents. So Claire, I'm gonna rewind it. Pay attention. A lot of kids don't have respect for their parents. So let's listen.
Cult, because some professor told me the defenation of a cult in an anthropology course.
Nope.
I think I went too far back.
All right. Thank you for...
Nice.
Right here.
And both of my parents have separate political views. My mom's conservative and my dad's liberal. And
sometimes, Claire, it's not good for the host to just talk when it's good points that we need to be listening to. So pay attention.
Sorry.
Okay.
Listen to what this young lady says, and listen to what he tells her. And the way she was looking, she is respecting what he's telling her. He's giving her knowledge on how to treat her parents, who obviously she's having a shaky relationship with. So just pay attention.
Okay, thank you. Hi, so I'm not technically, I don't go to UT, and I'm not the legal age to vote yet, and my parents are divorced, and both of my parents have separate political views. My mom's conservative, and my dad's a liberal, and my mom is always kind of pushing me to bring politics into my life, and I was wondering, A, should I care, and if I should, why, and which parent should I lean more towards?
Got it. So did you say mom's liberal?
Mom's conservative.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's the opposite I would have thought. Okay, yeah. So I see you have a shirt here that says, whom shall I send? Here I am, right?
Yes.
Which I love. That is the Hebrew word haneni, which appears many times throughout the scriptures. When Abraham, the binding of Isaac, Moses at the burning bush, the call of Isaiah, the call of Samuel. Every believer here in the audience, by the way, the most important thing is to bring Jesus into your life. Let me just make sure I say that. Most important thing. It's way more important than politics. It's the most important thing.
Amen.
And so I encourage every believer out here to learn what that word haneni means. It means, Lord, use me, send me. And I could tell you're probably going through a trial right now because your parents are separate and it's not easy. So the scriptures are very clear about this. Christianity has a heavy emphasis on honoring your parents. Now, to contrast that with the prior questioner, I don't think she's doing a good job of honoring her parents because she's accusing them of being in a cult.
Yeah.
Even, this is very important, everybody, even if your parents share values and views and a worldview that you do not have, you are biblically obligated to honor them, which means to spend time with them and to love on them and to go visit them. Even if they are wearing a Black Lives Matter and in this home that we have no hate and trans lives, you still go and spend time with your parents. Because if you are incapable, in this case, of honoring your earthly father, you will never honor your heavenly father. And it's very clear in the Ten Commandments, and then I'll get down to the specific advice. In the Ten Commandments, it is the only commandment, honor your mother and father so that you may live long in the land of which you are in. It is the only commandment that deals with a promise and your country. You will cease to have a strong country, America, if we do not have kids honoring their parents. Everyone out there, every day, you should call your parents on a weekly basis. I know college exists a lot of the times to separate children from the parents. They want to try to separate you from your upbringing. Your parents aren't cool, they don't understand you, they don't share your values. The closer that you stay with your parents, even though you have disagreements, the better you will be and your nation will be. Now, to your personal advice, find out what you believe and why you believe it. If a parent ever tells you to do something that is sinful or goes against God, that is a violation of what it means to honor them. It doesn't mean you have to blindly obey them, but you must honor them, which really means to treat them heavily, basically to treat that with a lot of weight. I would instead be close to both of them. It's a very difficult situation. You're going to grow up a lot quicker because of it, and come to your own independent political views and let them be known to each appropriate parent.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard. So how would I express the different views to, say, my mom or my dad?
Well, your view should be the same regardless of who you're talking to. So I think you're not old enough yet to vote, so you're still searching. So instead, I wouldn't even take strong political views. I would say, Mom and Dad, I don't want to talk politics. I just want to talk the Bible. It's not a political thing. It's a biblical thing. That would be my advice to you. So every time it comes up, like, oh, you should support Trump. Oh, you should hate Trump. Say, you know what? Can we just talk things from Scripture? Always go back to fundamental Scripture when you're talking to your parents. And when you do that, it can be very disarming. And then you both have something to appeal to. You have a greater truth that then you're able to look at, appeal to, and hopefully, get you through this difficult chapter. God bless you. You want a hat?
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you. Who has a disagreement? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. We'll go here, and then we'll go to... Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Step forward a little bit. Now that right there, guys, was the impact of Charlie. That 2-3 minutes of him having a conversation with a young lady who obviously is having disagreements with her parents. That's what we need more of in this world. It's a lot of parents and kids that can't have a good conversation, guys. We probably all know parents and kids that always at it like this. Always at it like this. And what Charlie brought to the table was that, like I said earlier, those kids love Charlie, not kids. Those young adults love Charlie, and Charlie loved those young adults. That was a great 2 minutes right there. That was the highlight of this live, Chad, right there. Now let's see what else is going to happen. Let's go. Appreciate y'all for joining me. We got 650 people in the building. Y'all hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Let's go.
Okay, can you hear me okay? Hi, how are you? So my name is Talise. I'm originally from Washington, D.C. I'm technically a Democrat, but I have very conservative views because I'm faith-based all the way. So I have a question, which is also kind of a disagreement, but I want to build it up, okay? So, of course, you just said Jesus is the most important thing for everyone out here. And so can you please explain to everyone out here what Jesus stood for, and especially the qualities of love, how to love your neighbor even if they don't agree with you.
So what is your name again?
Talise.
Talise, that's a beautiful question. I'm glad you came up to ask it. But I want to also just add something, because you're right. Jesus fully embodied two things simultaneously that showed his divine and his godly nature, because not that Jesus said good things. Jesus is Lord, Christ is King, and Jesus is God, on top of just being a guy with a lot of good ideas.
Yeah.
So John 8, if I'm drawing from memory correctly, best embodies both Christ's mercy and love, but also his commitment to truth. And sometimes in the modern gospel, we overemphasize the grace and we underemphasize the truth.
Yeah.
And so we are far too willing to say, hey, Jesus loves everybody, but we don't get to the second part of the conversation that says Jesus doesn't want you to live in sin. So this is, in John 8, it's best embodied, right? Almost every Christian in this audience will be able to tell you the first part of this, which is a bunch of Sadducees and Pharisees who are standing around with rocks, and they're about to stone the prostitute woman. And Jesus comes up and says, let the first among you without sin cast the first stone. And everyone starts dropping the rocks. But what comes next shows that Christ is not just grace-focused, he's simultaneously truth-focused. He goes up to the woman who had a career in selling herself for sex and said, sin no more. Now, imagine today how much trouble you would get in if you would go up to somebody and say, stop sinning. Oh, you're being too judgmental. No, you're actually being Christ-like. So Jesus stood. He was 100% grace and truth. And that tension is very hard in a modern world, because we want to overemphasize grace when in reality Christ loves us too much to have us continue to live in sin. He wants us to try to elevate our actions to glorify God in all that we do.
I agree 100%. And so to build on my question, I really want to talk about DEI. And so with our Christian, I will agree with you a lot of, I read the Bible for myself, so I knew what that scripture said. But my question is, how can Christian teachings on love, equity, and justice inform and shape discussions on diversity, equity, and inclusion in today's society? And so to also, Jesus hung out with sinners. He did not judge. He told the truth. And so I think that a lot of people in society today, when we talk about political views that are opposition, we judge them because we think, oh, because you voted for Trump, you agree on everything, when that's not the case, right? And I want you to talk about that. Also
Very good.
DEI.
So, and then I'll connect it to DEI, and I'm going to make a case. I don't know if it'll be persuasive to you, why I think DEI is unbiblical, and I'm going to try to make that case. Okay?
Yeah.
But first, let me comment on your astute point, which is that Christ wants us to be around people that are not like us. This is why I go to college campuses, but more and more I go to college campuses and I'm getting a lot of big crowds. So it's kind of unusual. I used to go here and get heckled and have very small crowds. But let me demonstrate this in an unusual way. Almost every person in this audience would say Christ wants us to be salt and light. Now, what are the two characteristics of salt and light? They change the environments that they come in contact with. Yes. They do not affirm. They do not conform. They change for the better. It's very important, everybody. We as Christians are called to change the environment that we come in touch with. Now, as far as DEI and why I believe it's unbiblical, now I'm going to go down to just the academic textbook definition of DEI. Okay. You might have a different idea of what DEI is. You might have a different perspective. I'm willing to hear that. But the actual textbook definition, as authored by people like Kimberly Crenshaw and Derek Bell, as it came out of critical theory, is essentially this, is that instead of having a goal of race blindness, they want a goal of race obsession and race consciousness, that we should talk about race more, not less. I believe the scriptures tell us firmly in many different verses that I could quote, but one in particular, when the Apostle Paul wrote, he said, neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, but we are all one in Christ Jesus. Essentially stating that racial differences are indifferent, or mean nothing to the Almighty God. All that matters to God is not black or white or Republican or Democrat. It's saved or unsaved are the only things that matter to Christ Jesus. So therefore, and let me finish the point, what DEI does through hiring practices, racial quotas, and many other different ways that I could list, is that it has an emphasis on things that the Bible does not categorize as important. In fact, it says the exact opposite, that we should only care about character and the soul of an individual, not the melanin content in their skin.
So I agree. Well, I actually don't agree because in Acts 2, it talks about how when the...
Now I'm going to rewind this. The people that says that Charlie Kirk is racist will never play this clip right here, guys. The people that say Charlie Kirk is racist will never clip this little part of 15 seconds and put it out there. I'm going to rewind it. The people that say Charlie Kirk is racist will never play this, guys.
Essentially this, is that instead of having a goal of race blindness, they want a goal of race obsession and race consciousness, that we should talk about race more, not less. I believe the scriptures tell us firmly in many different verses that I could quote, but one in particular, when the Apostle Paul wrote, he said, neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, but we are all one in Christ Jesus. Essentially stating that racial differences are indifferent, or mean nothing to the Almighty God. All that matters to God is not black or white or Republican or Democrat. It's saved or unsaved are the only things that matter to Christ Jesus. So therefore, and let me finish the point, what DEI does through hiring practices, racial quotas, and many other different ways that I could list, is that it has an emphasis on things that the Bible does not categorize as important. In fact, it says the exact opposite, that we should only care about character and the soul of an individual, not the melanin content in their skin.
So I agree. Well, I actually don't agree because in Acts 2, it talks about how when the Holy Spirit came upon the apostles and when the Holy Spirit came into the region, that a lot of people who spoke different tongues, that they could understand each other. And I think when we talk about the Bible and we talk about the spread of the gospel, you see that these people are going to different regions, not only learning about their culture, but adapting so that they could, again, spread the gospel. And I think that it's important. And I think people get confused that DEI is only about race. It's about learning somebody's background. I'm not from a state. I'm from a territory. DC is not a state. However, DC is majority black. But black experience in DC is completely different from black experience in the South. So if you're going to stereotype a black person, you can't, because black people, I would say people everywhere, a white person from the North is different from a white person from the South. So it's about talking to people and learning different perspectives, and I think the removal of DEI doesn't do that.
Okay, so I don't want to debate it too much. I will say that...
But that was my perspective.
Fine,
That's my
and I'm happy to send you a lot more literature to look at it. What DEI means in practice is the vehement, hostile treatment of white, straight men to no longer be in institutions and to be actively discriminated against. You don't have to agree on that, but that's what it looks like in practice. Is that, and I will prove this allow me to prove this in the best way I can. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but do you think... Friedrich Nietzsche used to say that every society has a central piety that you cannot touch, something you're not allowed to make fun of. Are you allowed to make fun of white men or black people more easily in America?
You shouldn't do either.
Which one will get you fired?
Making fun of a black man.
Okay, so, but what if you make fun of a white person? Will that get you fired?
It could get you fired too.
Probably not. Actually, it'll probably get you a professorship at your local university. You know I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I know.
What I'm getting at is that the influences of DEI have actually inverted the piety away from the promise of what MLK said, which was race blindness, towards race obsession. What you are talking about is very admirable, which is understanding people's backgrounds. We're just going to I'm not even disagree. I don't necessarily have time to build out what DEI has meant in practice. And what the problem with DEI is it's taken a lot of well-meaning people like you and then taken you along to support it, when in practice it's something completely and totally different. But here's something I will encourage you to do as a Christian.
Okay.
Care less about people's shared racial experience and look at them instead of just as their soul, as God made them. We should try to strive towards a blinder race nation, not one that talks about skin color all the time.
I agree 100%.
And I think DEI does make us talk about skin color more.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much. Very sweet question. Thank you. Yes, sir. And the student question goes to... I'm kidding.
Yes, I'm sort of crashing the party, but I was invited up here by a student. Okay, so I'm glad to be an American. I'm glad to live in this country. As far as I know, there's no better country. And part of that is that we don't prosecute people for things they did before it was illegal. Now, my question is, well, first off, I'll state the law is to, first off, inform people. Secondly, persuade them. And thirdly,
You're going to talk about pro-life laws and potentially criminalizing women that get abortions, right?
Right. And my question
no,
is
I'm
why,
10 steps ahead of you. Got it. So let me tell you my position, because we only have so much time, right?
My question for you is, why are you against abolition?
Okay, no. So actually, I am for the abolition of abortion. But let me tell you why I personally say if an abortion law was passed, I don't think it would, A, be the right thing under the current way that abortion is practiced in America to say that if a woman gets an abortion, she should then go to jail. Let me tell you why. It's because the way abortion is practiced in this country, women are not given informed consent. They do not know a lot of times what they are doing when they get an abortion. Now, that it's a very important distinction. In order to criminalize somebody, you need in the...
Chad, give me a second, Chad. We got 800 people in the building. Y'all hit the like button. Give me 1 second. I got to do something right quick, and I'll be right back.
Criminal statute, not the civil statute, you need intent, right?
Right.
So,
and the law would cover that.
Yes, so this is I think, a largely unhelpful, very far distant hypothetical that does a couple things. Not only do I disagree with it, but individuals like yourself are going around saying that we should put women in prison if they get abortions.
And there's nothing that says what the punishment would be.
Okay, but however, let me just pause and say, how about first, can we at least agree the people doing the abortions, like the abortionists, they should go to federal prison for the rest of their life. We can agree on that. And so I don't want to spend too much time on this. My perspective is very simple, that if you do not have informed consent, then I have a very hard time using the criminal code to go after an individual.
Our justice system doesn't work like that. If there was not intent, then the justice system says you weren't a criminal.
Okay, then we agree then. Then therefore it shouldn't go after those individuals. If you can't prove intent, then it should not go after those individuals.
Right.
Thank you so much for your time. I got to get to the next question.
Right.
Thank you.
We should have laws against it.
Thank you very much. Who has a disagreement? Anybody? You have a Trump hat on, but yeah, you got a rainbow shirt. How about you? So, yeah, I'm kidding.
Billy String
No,
shirt.
I'm kidding.
But, okay.
I'm giving you a hard time. Thank you, and everyone please be respectful.
All right, Charlie, I have a question for you. So, as a Christian, how do you justify campaigning for someone who was found civilly liable for sexual abuse?
Well, first of all, we as conservatives believe that that was like a Moscow show trial. It made no sense. How much about the trial do you know?
I've read some of the witness transcripts.
Yeah. So the main accuser is a woman by the name of
E. Jean Carroll.
Yeah, exactly. And she said the following: "A rape is sexy." She said that on air, right? She couldn't remember the time, the date, or the year that the incident happened. And even Anderson Cooper said this is not a credible witness that should be taken seriously. But let's pretend you're right, because I don't want to get too far into the details. But let's pretend that President Trump was guilty of sexual abuse. Is there any example of somebody in the Bible that was guilty of doing something bad that still was after God's own heart? This is the Bible Belt, but yes, the question is for you.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, well, David would be the most obvious. So how much do you know about the example of David and Bathsheba? Probably not a lot, right? So David one day woke up and he was in charge of the Israeli army. I believe it was Uriah, if I'm drawing from memory correctly, right? And Uriah was like the head infantry commander. Uriah had a wife, very beautiful, by the name of Bathsheba. Bathsheba woke up one day and was very provocatively showering for all to see. And David lustfully said, "I want that." In fact, not only did he say, did he want that, he then commissioned Uriah to the front lines of a battle to then basically get Uriah killed. Basically saying, I'm going to kill your husband so that I could be with Bathsheba. He does that, he dies, he then weeps terribly, and God even draws him closer to him in this very, very difficult, mysterious story. A second example, of course, would be Samson. Samson is found in the book of Hebrews in the Hall of Faith. Samson lived such a colorful life that God came to him when he was in a prostitute's bed. But God called Samson for a purpose greater than his and used the jaw of a donkey to go kill, thousands of Philistines. What I'm getting at is we are all sinners that fall short of the glory of God, and God can use imperfect vessels for righteous and good causes, of which I think he used Donald Trump to help save the country.
Okay.
Great point, Charlie Kirk. Great point.
So you said that, so you think the court case was a witch hunt?
Yes, I think that case was absolutely a witch hunt. And
so were the jurors, specifically the ones who found him liable, were they part of that?
Well, so it's very important that this was a civil case, not a criminal case. This never reached the threshold where any criminal prosecutor wanted to bring this because they thought the evidence was so shoddy. But yes, the jurors got this wrong because they were all suffering from Trump derangement syndrome.
Really?
This was a New York City-based jury, and of course
who picked the jury?
They were New York City based.
Well, yeah, but who picked the jury?
Well,
Trump's lawyer.
Well, no, that's not true. They have input on the jury selection. But they get 3 strikes. Those strikes were used. The judge was hardly fair. Again, I'm happy to go into all the individual minutes, but let's use reason. Can I be a little provocative on this for a second, guys? Okay. And I'm gonna try to prove you wrong using a little provocation, and I'm gonna be politically incorrect. Is that okay? All right. Trigger warning. Okay. So let me understand this. Here is the world's wealthiest man, one of the world's wealthiest men, worth like $10 billion. He's got a show on the NBC Apprentice. He's literally married to a supermodel. He can have any woman on the world. And I'm supposed to believe at 2 p.m. in a Tiffany's store, he walks in and rapes E. Jean Carroll, who is not exactly a supermodel, and risks his entire fortune, of which there is no accusation for 20 years, but he pops up and runs for the president, and all of a sudden she says, this guy raped me, even though I can't remember the day, the month, the year, 2 p.m. in a department store at Tiffany's while he was at the height of his career. I'm sorry, that's complete rubbish and political nonsense.
Well, so there was a law in New York up until 2022, before 2022, or during 2022, there was a law passed called the Abuser, I can't remember the name, Protection Act or something like that. And it removed the statute of limitation, which was 1 year for civil cases for sexual abuse. So that's how she had to wait so long until 2022.
But she did not voice the accusation publicly till he ran for president, which she did in 2017, 2018. Second, the trial itself was financed by Democrat donors. Thirdly, this is such a superfluous conversation. He's president of the United States. He won. We won. The American people saw this and did not care. So maybe we could talk about issues that are happening right now, not some fake accusation from 30 years ago.
Okay.
Anyone disagreements? Yes.
Hello, JoJo. How you doing? Thank you for joining us. What's up, Joy? How you doing?
Yes, ma'am. Again, anyone in the crowd, you can work your way up if you disagree. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. I have 2 main points I want to talk about. So first off, I want to know your opinion on January 6th and the pardoning of... Okay.
No, that's a legitimate question.
Okay.
The pardoning's a legitimate question.
What's your opinion on that?
Everyone should be pardoned.
Okay, here is my thing to say about that. My father is a police officer, so if you're saying that someone injures him or kills him in the line of duty, I should support pardoning them?
So actually, that's not my position. My position is very simple.
You just said your position is everyone should be pardoned.
Well, hold on. Allow me to finish. I said everyone should be pardoned, but not because of what they were accused of doing, because they were deprived of due process. And here's the kicker, that the January 6th defendants were put in pretrial detention for nearly 2 years, many of whom were not given attorney representation. One attorney in particular made his defendant go watch videos saying that MAGA is brainwashing you and say, go unbrainwash yourself before the trial. A complete violation of the 5th, 6th, and 7th Amendment. What I'm getting at, though, is that would you agree with the premise that if the tree is rotten, the fruit will be rotten?
I don't even know what you're referring to.
Well, it's a metaphor.
No, my turn. So I
didn't
want to
hear what you
know.
said, but
I want to know if you think that what they did, storming the Capitol, in your opinion, is that right or wrong? Yes or no?
Well, it depends.
Yes or no?
So they were only
yes or no?
peacefully
Yes or
storming
no?
the cap. Hold on a second.
Please just yes
Peacefully.
or no. That's yes or no.
Well,
Do you agree
hold on a
that
second.
it's a good thing that they did or a bad thing?
Can I?
Yes or no?
Can I? Can you?
You can answer yes or no.
Well, yes, and I'm
bad
answering
thing.
it. Yes, because not everybody did that. So let me.
Yeah, that January 6th was a bad thing. I remember watching that, guys. That January 6th riot was something we never ever seen before, man. That was crazy.
For example, Siaka Massaquoi took 3 feet into the Capitol, said a prayer, and went out. Do you agree he should be hunted down by federal officials for 3 years and face 10 years in federal prison? Yes or no? Yes or no? Answer. Yes or no? Okay, so you say yes. Got it. So, but however, I think what happened on January 6th, there was a lot of stuff I don't support. However, they were treated so terribly by our own government as political prisoners. Here is the truth. Even if you go do something as evil as shoot up a school, you deserve 5th, 6th, and 7th Amendment protection rights. These January 6th defendants did not get their basic constitutional rights protected. They literally had to sleep on the ground of the D.C. jail as January 6 gulags. You look at these pictures, they had to go sleep on the floor with no food for days, acting as if that this was some sort of Moscow internment camp. What President Trump did was very simple. This was a statement towards the justice system. You guys did not treat these people, who some of which did very bad things, with basic constitutional due process rights. It was a pardon wiping the slate clean, saying, even the person who does the grossest thing should be able to have the same rights of due process and the presumption of innocence of somebody who did absolutely nothing wrong. That's the position of the pardons.
So exactly what you just said to me, I'm going to use your words. If someone shoots up a school, they should be pardoned if they do not get due process.
No. I said if someone shoots up a school, they deserve a lawyer. And someone shoots.
But if they do not get one, they should be pardoned.
Hold on. That's not what I'm saying.
That is what you're saying.
No, if
someone
shoots up a school, they deserve to have a lawyer the same way as if someone runs a traffic light. This is a basic human right. And these January 6 defendants did not have their human rights respected by the Biden Department of Justice. That is what these pardons are all about. It's not about the merits of what they did or did not do. Many of which, by the way, is largely exaggerated, because 1,000 people peacefully walked into the people's house, said prayers, took pictures, and walked out. And the FBI sent on them as if they're narco drug criminals and cartel members. Many of them did absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, the police actually showed them around the interior of the Capitol. Many of the police officers said, hey, would you like to go look in this part of the Capitol? Would you like to look in this part of the Capitol? By the way, how many police officers were actually killed on that day?
Is it peaceful to
Zero.
hurt a police officer? Is that what you're saying?
I don't support.
You're saying
of course,
it's peaceful to hurt police
only
officers
a couple
and give them
dozen
mental
out of the
trauma
1,800
that they will have for the rest of their life. That's peaceful. Is what you're saying.
36 individuals out of 1,800 criminal indictments actually laid hands on a police officer.
But they should be pardoned, is what you're saying.
Not because of what they did or they were accused of, because they were never given a fair hearing. Let me give an example. A young man who was part of the scuffle pushed back on somebody that he did not know was a police officer. He was facing 15 years in federal prison and never had an opportunity to defend himself in federal court, because his lawyer sucked and the judge hated him, and he was never given due process or the opportunity to look at what is a very basic constitutional right, look at all of the January 6 footage, which many of which is still under seal. So what the pardon is actually a pardon saying our justice system will never be perverted for political aims again. I'm not saying I support the attacking of police officers. I am saying we must keep the American justice system the best on the planet, unlike what Joe Biden and Merrick Garland did the last 4 years. Thank you.
I have another question.
Okay.
So, how many phases are in the menstrual cycle? Do you know?
Well, I'm not a woman, so enlighten me.
So there's 4 stages of the menstrual cycle, okay? Ovulation, follicular, I'm gonna go in order. Menstruation, follicular, ovulation, and the luteal phase. During which of those phases can a woman be pregnant? When can she get pregnant? Which of those phases?
Ovulation.
During ovulation.
And luteal, yes. So I already know the answer to this question.
But yeah.
So I know the answer to this question. Have you ever had a menstrual cycle before?
No.
Okay, great. So knowing that, and you just saying, I don't know the phases of the menstrual cycle, which I don't blame you for being, you don't have that. So then, knowing this, you don't know everything about the female reproductive system. How are you going to make legislation to hurt women and women's rights?
Are men allowed to have opinions on abortion?
You can have opinions on abortion, but what I'm saying is, how are these men going to create this legislation?
Got it. So, well, men are allowed to have opinion on moral matters too, right?
Right.
Got it. So if I was a male OBGYN, is it okay for that person to make issues of legislation?
Well, they're educated. They understand. They are educated on the female reproductive system, so they can.
So if I don't know everything intimately about the female reproductive system, sit down and shut up, you're a man.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You can have an opinion.
That's kind of what
It's
you're
all
saying.
right if you have an opinion. I'm saying it's not all right if you don't understand how the female reproductive
Okay,
system
so
works.
let pop quiz. When does heartbeats begin for babies in utero?
Have you ever eaten an egg before? That's yes or no. Have you ever eaten an egg before?
Scrambled, yeah.
Okay, so would that be you scrambled a full chicken?
Well, hold on. You understand that it takes an egg to be fertilized?
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
Your
yeah.
point,
So,
the whole
so
point you're making
well,
is
hold
that
on. So,
a
but no.
baby.
Since we're doing pop quiz on like human development, so when exactly do heart waves begin in utero?
You know that, but you don't know the four.
Hold on. No. Wait, so tell me when. Tell me when heartbeat.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know.
No.
So wait, hold on. So you're trying to say I know more about the woman reproductive system than you do?
I am a woman, so yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, but the point being is we could both go back and forth of like independent trivial facts when it comes to the woman's reproductive system. But here's something we all know, because God wrote this on the human heart of every individual, as it says in the book of Romans. We know deep down it's wrong to murder a baby.
You're not murdering a baby. It's not a baby.
Okay, well let's play this out. What is it then?
It is an embryo.
Uh-oh, here we go, guys. Here we go.
Embryo, which is not a baby.
Well, okay, so it's a fertilized embryo.
Correct, which
right.
is not a baby.
So at what point does it become a baby?
When it is born.
Oh.
I don't agree with abortions up to full-term abortions.
Well, hold on, but you said it becomes a baby when it's born.
Yes.
Then why would you have abortion limits before it's born? I thought it's just an embryo. So embryo rights?
No, the embryo rights aren't a
But
thing.
then
because it's not
where
a
would you
person.
draw a line for abortion then, and why, and under what moral standard?
There are medical reasons not
No,
to have an
no,
abortion
no,
for
that's
full
not the
term.
question. That's not
Yes,
the
it is.
question.
You just asked me why would I not have an abortion full term for medical reasons.
Okay, so at 29 weeks, the baby is nearly fully developed, can recognize the mother's voice, has a heartbeat, has brain waves. Is it okay to abort that baby?
I don't, like, it's not okay, but you're going to say it's okay to have an abortion then. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to say. It's not okay to have an abortion ever? How
Correct.
about, like, 3
Yes.
weeks in?
Correct. No abortion. Correct.
Why?
Well, because your life started at conception.
It did not, though. It
Well-
did not.
Well, hold on. So let's play this out. So who are you as an individual? From your skin color to your eye color to your likes, your dislikes, from your temperament to your everything.
I am not an embryo. I'm a person.
Hold on a second. But it started with something called deoxyribonucleic.
Hello, Armando. How you doing? Appreciate you for joining. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing in the chat? The conversation is heating up, ain't it, chat? We got 1,500 people in the building. Appreciate y'all for joining us. As we come up on 12 o'clock midnight, y'all could be anywhere else, but y'all come here rocking with us, and we really, really, really appreciate it. They're having a heated conversation right now about abortion. So let's see how this goes, guys.
Nucleic acid. And your own individual DNA started at the point of egg and sperm meeting. That's where your journey started. And so from that point in particular, life begins. Not at birth, not at first words, not at first steps, but when your DNA, which is who you actually are. You are your DNA. Every one of your DNA cells is coded XX or XY. It's coded with all of your unique characteristics and attributes that we believe God individually curated for the rest of your life. That doesn't happen at 8 weeks or 10 weeks. It happens at conception.
What happens if you need a medical abortion? If the mother
Okay.
will die if she does not get an abortion?
So
What's your stance on
the
that?
only place where medical abortion is necessary is before 20 weeks, which is
What
incredibly
if she
rare.
will die? What if the mother
Hold on a
will
second.
die?
So let's take, for example, this is a very important question. Let's say it's 27 weeks, okay? And the mother will die. why shouldn't, you could agree, why don't we just have the baby delivered by cesarean section? You know what a cesarean section is, right?
Yes.
What is a cesarean
A
section?
C-section?
Yeah, why wouldn't we just put the baby out by C-section instead of terminating it?
Because if the mother will die, it's not safe
but
to do that.
You remove the baby.
I understand.
Threat removed.
I know what a C-section is.
But it's actually safer than an abortion. So every time they say, this is for you guys, they say, oh, you need to have abortion for medical reasons. Respond, then have a C-section.
What if you're not able to have a C-section? What if you are on your deathbed, you need to have an abortion right now?
Well, again, but
and it's illegal. You can't, so you have to die.
First and foremost, C-section is safer, C-section is quicker, and a C-section saves both lives. A C-section
The baby is already dead, you just said.
No, but even... No. Hold on a second. You're saying if the baby's already dead, then it isn't even an abortion, right? Then you're talking about a removal of a carcass, which is a completely different medical operation.
So you're saying that's okay if you're having...
If you're If you're removing a carcass of a baby, that is not an abortion. By definition,
it's the same process.
No, it's completely different. During an abortion, they actually inject the spinal fluid with cyanide poisoning as the baby squirms and tries to find its mother, and it is gasping for air of life. Have you ever watched an abortion? It is one of the... Yeah, actually I have. And I encourage every human being to watch one to know what you are fighting against. Because when you see abortion, you will have your life will be changed. That we allow the massacre of 1.5 million babies a year under the guise of woman reproductive health. We are allowing babies every single year to just say, you know, we're going to discard them. Why? Oh, they're smaller. They're not humans. You're using dehumanizing language saying, oh, it's an embryo. No, that's a baby made in the image of God, deserving of protection.
What do you do with those children once they're born into a bad household?
So now we've transitioned to, like, what do you do with the kids?
Right.
Glad we're past the other part of the argument, okay? What do you do with them? You know there's twice as many people on the adoption waiting list than there are abortions every single year?
And they're still on the list. So you want to send a child into an orphanage?
Well,
is that what you want for a child? Is that a good life for a child?
No, I'm not advocating that. In fact, I'm advocating to make it easier to be able to adopt, number one. Number two, there's no such thing as an unwanted child. Number three, it is never right to justify the mass elimination or termination of people under the guise of saying they're unwanted. That's how we get Auschwitz. That's how we get the greatest horrors of the 20th century. Those people are unwanted.
So you're comparing abortion to the Holocaust?
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse.
It's really not. I don't
think it is. 45 million babies. It's nearly 8 times worse than the Holocaust. What's the moral difference between a small baby in the womb and a grown Jew who was killed at Auschwitz? What's the moral difference? One is older?
Is a person?
What species is the baby in the womb?
It's a human, but it's
Therefore, they should have human rights.
No!
They should have human rights.
I do not agree.
Oh, so small humans, no human rights. Grown humans, human rights.
It's not a small human. It's an embryo.
You just said it was a human species.
It's not a living human child.
Wait, it's not a what?
It's not a child.
But
it's not a living child.
It has a heartbeat. It has brain waves.
That does not make it a child.
But tell me when it becomes a...
Hey, what's up, Paul? How you doing? Thank you for joining us. Let's see. Hold on, chat.
Child, then.
I already told you, when it is born.
Again, so under every other objective definition, you see, guys, how quickly the pro-abortion argument...
Rumble, how is it ironic that my name is the Stock Sniper? How is that ironic? Rumble, obviously you new to the channel. Hold up, where you at? I gotta find you. Well, this chat moving fast, guys. We got 1,000 people in the building. Appreciate y'all for joining me. Yeah, it's moving fast. I'm trying to find that guy again.
fall apart with just the slightest questioning. But our position is one rooted not in feelings, not in personal autonomy, but one in biological consistency and reality. That your life had an agreed upon starting point, that starting point should be protected and preserved. And the excuses given for abortion is dehumanization. Oh, it's just an embryo. Guys, that's just using different language to justify the massacre of something smaller than you. That's all that it is. So here are the big objections. Size. It's smaller than me, then I should be able to get rid of it. I'm 6'5". Should I be able to murder people smaller than me? Of course not. You don't believe that. Level of development. Oh, it's not as progressed as, this is your argument. It's not as progressed as we are, therefore we have rights over it. So my 10-month-old baby, why should I not be able to eliminate my 10-month-old baby?
I have another question for you. On the line of this, you will never be able to have an abortion, right? You will never be able to have an abortion. You will not, okay? That's a fact. Everyone knows that, okay? I'm not debating that at all.
Okay, make it quick. You can tell the audience is... Yeah, but go, yeah.
If I were to be pregnant right now and forced to have a baby, that would ruin my life.
This is an important question. Hold on. Time out. So rape and incest are less than 0.5% of all abortions.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking if I just happen to be pregnant.
Oh, you don't happen to get pregnant. It's not like getting COVID.
I know how it works. I know how it works.
You don't get the flu.
I know.
How about
but
this?
Say
You
I got
take responsibility for your orgasms and
What if
stop
that
eliminating
doesn't work?
people smaller than you.
So you're saying I should carry a baby and ruin my collegiate life?
How about this? Instead of saying ruin, first of all, babies are a blessing. Stop talking at them as if they're some sort of annoyance.
I will have to drop out of college.
Number two, if
get a Charlie Kirk.
You play certain games, you win certain prizes. If you're gonna go have sex,
So you're saying I should drop out of college to support my child and supporting my life?
I'm saying
oh my God.
if you're going
Y'all
to
hear
engage in...
Y'all hear this, chat? Let me rewind this. Let's listen to what she says, chat.
To justify the massacre of something smaller than you. That's all that it is. So here are the big objections. Size. It's smaller than me, then I should be able to get rid of it. I'm 6'5". Should I be able to murder people smaller than me? Of course not. You don't believe that. Level of development. Oh, it's not as progressed as, this is your argument. It's not as progressed as we are, therefore we have rights over it. So my 10-month-old baby, why should I not be able to eliminate my 10-month-old baby?
I have another question for you. On the line of this, you will never be able to have an abortion, right? You will never be able to have an abortion. You will not, okay? That's a fact. Everyone knows that, okay? I'm not debating that at all.
Okay, make it quick. You can tell the audience is... Yeah, but go, yeah.
If I were to be pregnant right now and forced to have a baby, that would ruin my life.
This is an important question. Hold on. Time out. So rape and incest are less than 0.5% of all abortions.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking if I just happen to be pregnant.
Oh, you don't...
If you know that it's gonna ruin your life, ma'am, don't have sex. Don't open your legs. Keep your legs closed.
Happen to get pregnant. It's not like getting COVID.
I know how it works. I know how it works.
You don't get the flu.
I know.
How about
but
this?
Say
You
I got
take responsibility for your orgasms and
What if
stop
that
eliminating
doesn't work?
people smaller than you.
So you're saying I should carry a baby and ruin my collegiate life?
How about this? Instead of saying ruin, first of all, babies are a blessing. Stop talking at them as if they're some sort of annoyance.
I will have to drop out of college.
Number two, if you play certain games, you win certain prizes. If you're gonna go have sex...
So you're saying I should drop out of college to support my child and supporting my life?
I'm saying if you're going to engage in coitus, in the practice of having children, you might end up with a baby. So know that. And guess what? You don't need to have sex before you get married. It's not like showering. It's not like eating.
Are you married?
Yes, with 2 beautiful children.
Wow, good for you.
I could tell you're not married.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Man.
Yes.
Chad, did y'all hear her? What y'all think about that, Chad? She said, what I'm supposed to do? Ruin my life? That means I'm about to quit college. Man.
Ma'am.
Hi. Do you think we should be a Christian nation?
Well, of course. I mean...
Like officially?
Officially, I mean, like through our.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna end it right there, guys, on that exchange right there. Young ladies, do not have that mindset. Control yourself until you get married and you're able to, take care of the baby. Don't be out, being thirsty with this, that, and the third. Don Ramos, yeah, she sound like she for the streets. Young ladies out there, please don't follow that analogy. Don't do it. What's up, Spawn Saga? How you doing? Appreciate you. Yeah, that right there is going to end the night, guys. What a good night. I'm going to do this again tomorrow. Tribute to Charlie Kirk. I'm going to do this again tomorrow. I'm going to pick it up in the morning. Y'all, we got 1,000 people in the building. I sure hate to end this live with 1,000 people in the building, but I got to go, guys. It's past my bedtime. So I appreciate y'all for joining me. Y'all hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This was a great night to kick it with y'all in the chat. Really, really appreciate y'all for coming through. I'm going to do this again in the morning, pick up where we left off. With that being said, I love and I appreciate y'all. Till in the morning, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, earn, spend less, and make proper investments. Till in the morning, it's your boy, the one and only Stock Sniper. I'm out.